Namaskar. Good evening and thank you very much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be with all of you at the Lean Summit. I believe in research, and before coming here I did some research, and I know that I'm surrounded by domain experts and visionary leaders and pioneers of change. And I'm not half as well versed in the subject that we are discussing today. But I'm very excited to be part of this conversation. So I hope it's worth your time. It's not like you can change the channel anyway. That's the best part about having a live audience. So let's make the most of it. Now we gathered here today to talk about some very important themes: leadership, innovation, and cyber resilience, and how they're key to shaping a Viksit Bharat, a developed India. I'll start with leadership, and I'll share with you something that I read some time back, and it stayed with me. This is something written by Henry Kissinger, whose politics I do not agree with, for the record. But he did write well, and he could be very compelling in his arguments. So he said that leaders interact or act rather at the intersection of two axes, like in a graph, X and Y. One axis is between the past and the future. So you take learnings from the past and you use those lessons to shape strategies for the future. That is one axis. The second axis is your values and aspirations, who you are and what you want to become. And it's very important for you to understand this, to be able to chart a course for the future, for yourself, for your team, for your company, for your country, whatever it is that you're leading. So the leaders of today are expected to predict the future, to predict the trends of tomorrow at the very least. And if possible, they're expected to influence those trends so that the outcomes can benefit all. And this is especially relevant when we talk about technology, because technology is integral to our lives today. It is shaping a future that we can neither fully imagine nor fathom. And it is moving at breakneck speed. Policymakers everywhere are at best playing catch up. Technology in the age of AI is like the wild, wild west. So today's deliberations are very important and very timely, because we are discussing technology not just for the sake of it. We are discussing the role that technology will play in defining the future of our nation. We are discussing how can we make sure that the India of tomorrow is not just digitally advanced, but also secure, resilient, and prosperous. Now 2047 is a very important year, as I'm sure all of you are aware. It is the year that marks 100 years of our independence. Viksit Bharat 2047 is a national mission to make our country a global powerhouse. This is a vision that reflects the aspirations of 1.4 billion Indians, including all of us. And this vision is not a pursuit of the distant future, it is happening as we speak. And it is not happening on its own, because it's an ambitious goal. It requires leadership. It requires innovation. And as things stand today, it also requires a robust foundation of cyber resilience. I'll tell you why. We live in a digital world, so securing your physical boundaries, securing your political borders is not enough anymore. It is important, but it's not enough. Securing your country and your people in the cyberspace is imperative. let's try and look at the big picture. What do we mean when we say Viksit Bharat 2047? What does it entail? What is it going to look like? If you've been following Prime Minister Modi's vision, you know that he has a dream for 2047. A dream that goes beyond economic growth or technological advancement. It's a vision that speaks to a complete transformation. Economic, social, political, cultural. It's about empowering every citizen, building world-class infrastructure, and ensuring that our digital leadership serves as a common good. And guess what? Technology is at the heart of all of this, whatever we set out to do for our country. Now let's look at where we stand. India is among the fastest growing major economies in the world. We've seen some geopolitical turbulence of late because of an election that happened in November in the US. We've seen tariff threats that have followed. We've seen economic headwinds. Despite all of this, we as a country are on course to becoming a $5 trillion economy before the end of this decade. This growth will be fueled by digital technologies, entrepreneurship, and a new wave of global collaborations. We're seeing that in action. We're talking to new partners, we're engaging with old partners. We are looking to work in fields that were not focused on enough earlier. But growth is not just about numbers. It's also about equity and inclusivity. When you see those big numbers in headlines, 8% GDP growth, 7.5%, 6%, X number of billionaires in India now, it is meaningless if it is not touching the life of every Indian. As we grow as an economy in a country, we must always be aware that there are millions of people in our country, millions of other Indians, fellow Indians, who depend on food subsidies for survival. So when we talk of growth, when we talk of Viksit Bharat, we should aim for a kind of development where every citizen benefits from this transformation, from rural areas to urban hubs. The goal is to make sure that digital infrastructure and services reach every corner of India. And our record so far has been quite encouraging. One marker is internet penetration. In 2014, it was 14%, 1/4. By 2024, it was more than 52%, which may not sound like a very big number on its own, but when you look at absolute numbers, we are a population of 1.4 billion. More than half of this population now has access to the internet. So in terms of active internet users, India ranks second in the world. Half our country is living online. This number will only grow in the months and years ahead. So we need to build a digital infrastructure that can cater to this growing, this burgeoning class of people. And when I say infrastructure, I don't mean just roads and bridges and buildings, which we do need, of course. I'm talking about building a digital backbone, high-speed internet, cloud computing, artificial intelligence. We need all of this at scale. The future will demand that we have these robust systems in place for businesses, for government, state and central, for every sector, healthcare, education, transport, you name it. And all of this requires leadership. It requires decisive, forward-thinking leadership at every level of society, not just politicians, not just policy makers, people like you, business leaders, entrepreneurs, technology leaders, educators, all of us. This leadership will have to be collective. We will all have to be active stakeholders and foot soldiers if we want to turn this vision of Viksit Bharat into reality. And we've seen some of this in action in the past decade again. India's leadership across government and business has taken bold steps to modernize the country. We've seen some reforms, including GST, Make in India, Startup India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. They're all aimed at transforming the landscape, and they've all delivered in different measures. I was reading a KPMG report which said that, I think this is from 2023, that India currently houses the world's third largest startup ecosystem with 110 firms that are valued at over $1 billion, or what you typically call a unicorn. And this landscape is dominated by technology startups, which have created millions of jobs. Which is not to say that there have been no challenges. We in the media have reported about the funding winter and the problems that startups face, and that is only to be expected because there are many moving parts here, there are many variables, and that brings me to the second point of our conversation, and that is innovation. You see, our problems, our people, our society is unique, so we cannot copy-paste solutions or templates from outside. We have to create our own, and that requires innovation. You cannot build a Viksit Bharat just with a vision and policy. You need optimal implementation, you need execution, and to execute those policies you need innovation. Because innovation, as you know, is what takes ideas from paper and turns them into reality. It is the difference between the ideas that remain dreams and the ideas that bring change, that disrupt industries, that redefine growth patterns. And India has become a global hub for innovation. Whether it's in AI, fintech, space exploration, or renewable energy, we are showing the world that as a people, we are not just consumers of technology, we are also creators of technology, we are also disruptors. Last year, India ranked 39th in the Global Innovation Index, which marks a significant improvement because in 2015 we ranked 81st. So it shows how fast we are growing as a country. Today we are home to some leading fintech platforms, and I'm sure from personal experience you'll all agree that they have completely, fundamentally altered how we interact with financial services. India's AI startup ecosystem is thriving. The government is incentivizing innovation. We saw some decisions and policy interventions in the latest budget as well. We are pooling in resources. India is talking about a homegrown LLM, a large language model, before the end of this year. We do hope it comes to fruition. But when we talk about fostering a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, there is something that I want to add, that we need to consciously and fundamentally shift our approach to encourage risk-taking, to embrace failure and move on, and to support new and bold ideas. That is very important. There are enough and more examples in history to show that innovation thrives in an environment of openness, collaboration, and freedom. So our future, India's future as a developed country, rests on the ability of both the public and the private sector to work together and promote these values. So I've talked about policy, innovation, collaboration, adoption of technology. How will all of this hold? For that we need cyber resilience. We live in a digital age, like I said. Technology is seeping into our lives in more ways than we care to acknowledge. From the rise of cloud adoption to the explosion of internet usage, we are a nation that is adopting digital technologies at a rapid pace, which is very good, but it also comes with its own set of risks. Cyber threats are becoming more sophisticated by the day. We are witnessing an alarming rise in ransomware attacks, data breaches. Today, India is the second most targeted nation when it comes to cyber attacks in the world. And we did a report, I think in December, which said that 95 entities in India fell victim to data theft in 2024. which is quite alarming. These are the reported cases. I'm assuming there were more. So if India is to remain at the forefront of this digital revolution, it will have to secure its digital infrastructure. It will have to embrace cyber resilience. It's a state where businesses, governments, entities, individuals, they're all equipped to anticipate, to withstand, to respond, and to recover from cyber threats. So here's the first thing that we can do. To accept that cybersecurity is no longer a nice to have, it's a must have. Whether it's a small startup, whether it's a massive conglomerate or corporation, every organization needs to ensure that its data and the data of its customers is protected. Business data, government data, personal data. Every Indian citizen must have their data safeguarded, from your financial records to your medical history, to your educational achievements, to your shopping preferences. Because data is gold. They say data is the new oil. Data is a strategic asset, and it must be seen and protected as a strategic asset. Fortunately, there are some moves in this direction. The Personal Data Protection Act and other cybersecurity regulations have been introduced. They've been designed to strengthen our defenses, but we know that that's far from enough. We need more awareness. We need action. We need organizations to build cyber resilient frameworks that can mitigate risk and ensure business continuity. And let me stress this point. Cyber resilience does not just rest on the shoulders of the government or companies. It's a collective responsibility. Every individual, every business has to take ownership of their cyber health. This means training employees, implementing strong data protection measures, and fostering a culture of cyber security at all levels. The obvious question is, how do you do it? How do we empower our businesses and citizens to build a secure and resilient digital ecosystem? Like I said, the first step is acknowledgement. Businesses must recognize that cybersecurity is not an IT issue. It's a business issue. You need it for business continuity. It can have a profound impact on your bottom line, on your reputation, and on your relationship with your customer. PwC came out with a report on cybersecurity in India, and it found that companies were cognizant of it. They were aware. 90% of businesses apparently see cybersecurity as an issue that directly affects their financial stability and brand reputation. 90%, which is a very good number. We need to build on that. Second, we have to empower citizens with the knowledge and the tools to navigate the digital world safely. And that means cyber education. Every year we do reports on the most common password, and unfortunately it remains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That has to change. We have to tell people about the dangers of phishing attacks, the significance of data privacy, and it's not like we've not built it. You know, when you step out of your house, you see a lot of things in the physical world that have been designed to ensure your safety. There are speed breakers, there are dividers, there are red lights. When you enter a mall, you see security, there's screening. When you enter an airport, there's screening. These things weren't always there. We saw threats, we saw problems, we came up with solutions. Now we need to build the digital version of it. We need a seatbelt, we need an airbag when we are operating in the digital space. And we need to do it quickly because, like I said, technology is running at a very fast pace. And here the role of government is crucial. We need digital literacy programs, cyber awareness campaigns, and public-private partnership to raise awareness. A major area where India is stepping up globally is also data sovereignty. We are putting forth the idea that data generated in India should be governed by Indian laws. And we're not just talking about protecting the data of our citizens, we are making sure that cross-border data flows are done responsibly. And India's voice in these discussions is very crucial because we are creating a blueprint that fits not just our needs, but can also be adapted by others, especially in the global south. When it comes to AI, we are trying to position ourselves as leaders in ethical AI to ensure that artificial intelligence is used not just for power and profit, but to solve real-world problems. I was in Paris last week for the AI Action Summit, which was co-chaired by India and France. We had conversations with the French president who talked about balancing regulation and innovation. And then Prime Minister Modi said that AI is writing the code for humanity in this century. This is not just smart wordplay, it also shows how powerful this technology is. It is shaping us. And that is why India is pushing for transparent, inclusive, and ethical AI. Next year, India will be hosting this summit, and it makes sense for a country like India, with a young population and a growing economy, to take the lead in shaping the discourse of technology that will define our future. We've also set the example in digital inclusion. We've shown the world that how we can make strides while also ensuring that every Indian, every citizen has a seat at the table through programs like JAM, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile. India has brought digital financial inclusion and social welfare programs to millions of people who would otherwise have been left behind. We've emphasized on digital literacy and affordable internet, and we've encouraged other countries to think about digital equity. We're showing the world that tech can be an equalizer. So India needs to be at the forefront of creating the frameworks and regulations while also promoting global collaboration and technology. This is the only way forward. Let me end by saying that we are in the new great game. This is the new great game, where tech sovereignty and data security is the prize. This is the key to Viksit Bharat 2047. And I also want to congratulate and commend each one of you for the role that you're playing in turning this vision into reality. More power to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Palki.